Well, we're excited today to talk to Miss Kay Francis from Kay's Keynotes, LLC. Welcome, Kay. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is so good to be here. How are you today?
Doing amazing. And I have to say, I'm a little jealous of your background.
Well, I thought that maybe some of these folks could help us out because this is Homer Simpson's living room, and I think he could use a little help. So any designers or stagers out there that could, I'm thinking, what do you think? Some pillows maybe?
Maybe a few pillows. Orange might not be the best. Maybe paint the walls a little light cream.
Yeah. Wallpaper border? And
Oh,
let me ask you this, the pillows, karate chopped or no karate chopped?
we got a karate chop. I mean, it's a must. You have to do it.
But I always say, what have those pillows done to you?
I know.
But anyway, yeah, you guys are the experts, so yeah.
Oh, well, I'm super excited to talk with you today and just get some encouragement. I think we're all a little stressed out, and maybe it changes day to day, moment to moment. We're doing fine 1 minute, and then all of a sudden, around the corner causes a little bit of a reaction to stress. So give everyone a little bit of an insider scoop into your life, how you came to be where you are today, and then we're going to move on into some stress-free talk and getting a little bit of purpose behind what we do.
Sure. Well, I started in the corporate world. I have a master's in business administration, MBA. And at the age of 28, I had worked for 3 companies in a row that went bankrupt.
Wow.
Yeah, I got the mojo. Hey, y'all want me to come work with you?
Yeah, please.
Yep. So anyway, I had this hobby. I was doing stand-up comedy. And I thought, you know what? I'm done. I am going to trash that MBA and go on the road and be a touring stand-up comedian. And that's what I did. And so I did that for a number of years. And not to go into my whole bio, but I lived in New York City for 4 years. And I ended up back in Ohio, where I'm from, taking care of my mom. And I was her caregiver for 7 years. And after I emerged from that experience, it really changed me. And just a tiny bit about my background. I am in recovery from drug and alcohol abuse.
Okay.
A couple of weeks, I celebrate 29 years.
Well, congratulations.
I'm like, yay! So yeah, so it really changed me. And for the first time in my life, I was looking out for someone else's well-being besides myself. And so when mom passed, I kind of rattled around for a few years. I was a karate instructor, and I didn't karate chop pillows. I wish I could have had them there. Man, I could have gotten those students. I mean, it would have been great. So I ended up becoming a keynote speaker. And so my title is actually funny motivational speaker. And with my education, I have a degree in health and education also. And the fact I'm in recovery, and I just am a student of good health. And I'm one of these people I used to hate. I know.
You only hated them because you were jealous, right? Like they look like they had it all together.
I know. You think something's, you see, watch them work out and you go, that can't be good for you.
Right.
That can't be good. Yeah. So anyway, I became a keynote speaker. So that's what I actually do. That's what I did before our good friend COVID-19 came along and wiped out my calendar for the rest of the year. So I really came smack faced with my own message. It was such a challenge. And we are all going through some sort of change and challenge. And the thing is, what we're really struggling with, and I'm generalizing, but I think most of us, is the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know what's going to happen. And right now, even though I think a lot of people are probably doing great, and I am as well, because I did pivot over to virtual. So
Yes.
I started taking classes, I started going to seminars and learning how to present virtually, which was very much out of my comfort zone. But the point is, even if you're doing really well, your business is doing great, which I hope it is. The unknown is like, well, what's going to happen? It's just this cloud that kind of hangs over all of our heads. We don't know what's going to happen with the virus. We don't know what's going to happen with the economy. So I really think we have to take the principles of what we use anyway and just really double down. And it's kind of what works for you. Whether it's prayer, meditation, listening to inspirational podcasts, spending time in nature. My one thing I like to encourage people to do, because we get so busy, we forget that me time, is to take that time to be alone, to just regroup, go within, and get that strength again. Because, stress is just going to always be coming at us. And I know a lot of the people we're talking with today, you're juggling businesses, jobs, spouses, children, maybe even taking care of parents. You might be in the sandwich generation. that is just a perfect storm for stress.
Right.
So what we have to do is just sort of break it down and just stop, take a breath, and ask ourselves, can I control this situation? When you find yourself up against any stressful situation, take a moment. Can I control this? And if the answer is no, to continue to stress about that is literally insane.
Right.
It is. To stress about things that we can't control makes no sense. We do it anyway. I mean,
Right.
I get that. Again, I need my own message more than anybody. But just stop it. If you can't control it, you simply have to let it go. And it's so simple, 3 little words. And I know a lot of parents out there, you've seen the movie Frozen about 40,000 times. Let it go, let it go. But it really is true. And, these sayings, they become really trite, and almost, like, oh, yeah, we've heard that. It's because they work.
Right.
Just for today. Just for today.
Mm-hmm.
Meditate for an hour every day. Well, actually, I nap, but meditation sounds so much less lazy.
You meditate with your eyes closed in peace. That's lovely. I know what you're saying is so spot on, and you're right. It's down to the basics, those best principles to live by that we forget sometimes because they seem super simple and easy, but yet they're the most difficult to do. We try all the other options before we come back to the one principle.
I know. Sometimes I think, have I learned anything being on this planet? Am I really doing that again? I thought I had, you think you've learned a particular lesson and then it comes back around and you handle it in that same old way. Well, we have neural pathways in our brain, and it's hard to make new habits and to, develop new ways of thinking of things. And I don't want to sound like Pollyanna, like I live on a pink cloud, even though I live in a pink house, obviously. But you have to really tend towards optimism whenever possible. That doesn't mean not being realistic. You have to be honest. And through the pandemic, we had a shutdown. We're in Ohio, so we had a complete shutdown. And I had a lot of time to think. And it was upsetting. It was like going through the stages of grief. First you're in denial, and then it's like, no, my calendar's not disappearing. It's doing fine, And then you go through anger and all that. And finally you come to acceptance where you realize, I can't control so much of this. And I'll tell you something I've done recently. I'm on a news diet. Yeah, have you ever heard of that?
I love it.
I know.
A lot of us need to be on that diet, don't we?
Right? And listen, it's easier than a regular diet, trust me. But it's just, it's not that I don't want to know what's going on. I don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to just tune out in my little bubble. It's not that. But really, how much do we need to know every detail?
Right.
I now look at headlines, and I don't allow myself to. First of all, it's a rabbit hole.
Yes.
You're reading, and before you know it, you're down that rabbit hole. And before you know it, you find your mood start to shift because it's usually not good news.
Right. Someone else is literally controlling our thoughts. We're giving them permission to do so.
Yes, absolutely. And, I talked to my sister. I said, I'm on a news diet. And she proceeded to tell me about something going on across the country. I said, you don't understand. You're giving me cheesecake. And
that's junk food.
Yeah, you're junk food for my brain. Yeah. So it's a little thing, but really managing stress, really, it's a day by day, moment by moment situation. It's vigilance. It's really stopping and taking those deep breaths, asking ourselves, can I control this? And watching our stress response, which is when the heart starts pumping faster, the lungs work harder. When you do that over time, it will wreck your health.
You're absolutely right.
I don't want to be a downer, but up to 85% of disease and illness are stress related.
Yes.
And so much of it has to do with how we view situations.
It's right.
Always control our circumstances. And even though it's so hard, we can always control how we view our circumstances.
Yes. So the first question is, can I control this? And if the answer is no, let it go, right? That's such a basic principle that we all need to just kind of reset, reshift, make a little, a Post-it note wherever we need to see it, like let it go. Because if we make decision in chaos, what happens? It's probably the wrong decision.
No, we can only make it from a place of serenity. Serenity is the only place where you make good decisions. When you make decisions out of fear or panic, or like you said, chaos, it's not going to be a good decision because it's going to be fear or panic based. And those aren't good decisions. And sometimes when we don't know what to decide, don't decide anything.
There you go.
Get quiet, see what bubbles up. It'll be, I'm losing hold on a minute. I'm losing my headphones here. Just wait and see what bubbles up. Just get quiet, get serene, get calm, whatever works for you. And that is a very individual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pet an animal, pet a human. Now, I suggest you ask permission first.
Yeah, ask permission first. There you go.
Yeah, walking through the mall, your hair, if I could I would be so much less stressed. But yeah, but it really is what works for you.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. Try to avoid energy vampires and toxic people whenever possible. Now, frankly, sometimes they might be in our families. We can't necessarily always avoid them, although we can maybe have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
But when we have a choice, we can't just keep going back in that same situation. Then who do we really have to blame?
There you go.
People. We have
and call it your negative diet, like have the conversation, whatever it is, right? I mean, if you feel like it is around people, it's around circumstances, ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Is it my environment? Is it internal? And now let's solve the true problem, right?
Yes, absolutely. And if there is no solution, there's always a solution, because the solution may be, I have to stop letting this bother me.
Yes.
That would be the only solution. And we're resistant to change, but just about the time you think you're like, all right, everything's set. Kids doing great, spouse is doing good, job, everything's set. Boom. Who could have thought something like this would just fall out of the sky?
We call it getting hit by a Mack truck. We could never have seen this coming. We couldn't have planned it. And I believe, though, and I want to get your thoughts. I mean, are leaders made during this time? How can we let this crisis create better leadership within us?
Well, you have to find the opportunities, because within every change, within every crisis, in fact, there's a Chinese symbol. Like one side is crisis and the other side is opportunity, because there is always an opportunity within crisis.
Oh.
It's you just have to search for it. And again, it's about getting quiet. And I think everything happens for a reason. And sometimes if you're being thrown into another direction, there's a reason for it. Have you ever noticed always when you look back, you go, you know what? That had to happen for me to be where I am.
Connect the dots.
That's it. And we can't see it when we're in it. You can't read the label from inside the jar. If you just kind of follow your intuition, follow, what comes up. And when you're not sure between two things, just wait. Just don't do anything.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you mentioned earlier in the conversation about habits, and they're not created overnight. But if we've lived in crisis, as you mentioned, shut down for, now we're going, what? 2-3 months? What do we know? Maybe we have created some new habits in our life just from routine, but now we realize, hey, these aren't the best habits that I need to start resetting. What are some good practical ways to do that if we see that we've created some bad habits through these last few months?
Well, I think a good way, you mean like homemade bread every day?
Well, like create the list, right? It could be a lot of things.
No judgment, yeah. Everybody jokes about the quarantine, the 10 pounds everybody gained.
The COVID, what is it? The all of the 18, the 19, right? It's like, we're here.
I know, right, exactly. Well, it's a good time to take a look at how we manage the crisis in our lives. And the fact is, that's probably the way we were already handling it, but it was just doubled down because the crisis was bigger. Yes. And I think anytime you want to change any sort of habit, now I'm talking about change that you put upon yourself, because the change that's thrust upon us is definitely way more stressful because of the element of the loss of control. But when you want to make a change, like you look at this 10 pounds and way too many carryouts and homemade bread, and I just know it. Now I got to tackle this. And then you're like, oh, you know what? And too much Netflix. I didn't exercise.
Too much meditation.
Little too much meditation. Exactly. You know what? The thing is, take whatever is easiest first. Don't take it all on at once. This is what people do at the beginning of a year. I am going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to,
3 times a day.
3 times. I know. And how long does that last? I'll tell you how long it lasts. It's called the cliff. It's mid-February because gyms actually record this kind of thing. Mid-February is the cliff. January, everybody's out, and boom, it just takes about 6 weeks. First of all, you gain weight when you first start working out. That's about the most demoralizing thing, because
demotivation.
I know, you're like, what? I mean, so take what's easiest. If the easiest thing for you is, you know what, my diet, I just got off track a little bit, so I'm just going to ease myself back on to that. Exercise is so hard for me. Well, make that the next thing that you tackle. Or, I only get like 4 hours of sleep a night. And if that's the easiest thing for you to tackle, work on that first. Start powering down earlier. You know, don't let invasive thoughts. One thing I say when I'm laying in bed, I'll start thinking about what I have to do tomorrow. And I say to myself, you need to think about that, but not now.
Mm.
Then my mind goes, oh, okay, I can put that off for when I need to think about it, which is not when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, that's so true. And you're right. I mean, people are having trouble now more than ever, it seems, or at least they're just talking about it, having trouble sleeping. And so, like, download the brain. And I love what you said, like turn off earlier, turn off the things that can be a distraction or get your mind, in that think mode. And now all of a sudden we're ready for the sleep that we need to get our body actually needs.
It's desperate. It's the need for sleep is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And unfortunately in our society, we almost brag on how little sleep we can get by on. Like it's
like we get an award.
Yes. Yeah. Or like, I am so busy and important, I just don't have time. And when you run into somebody that's like, yeah, we all sit down as a family, have dinner, and I get my 8 hours. You're like, there's something really wrong with them. You know what I mean? It's like, or you just hate them for it. You're like, well, they must not have much going on. Well, maybe they're just really organized, or, and you can go too far with that also. I'm no
Sure.
Marie Kondo. I don't know if anybody saw the little Japanese lady. That lasted about 5 minutes in this house. Trust me. It's like, does this, you're supposed to hold everything up and go, does this bring me great joy? I'm like, yeah, these yoga pants really bring me joy, and I'm keeping them. Yeah. So yeah, it's not an easy thing. It's easy to backslide and to get into habits, because on some level we kind of go to sleep. We're kind of like, I can't think, and we're so overwhelmed with the things we have to think about that we're like, just give me some chips. I just have to feel better right now.
We cope.
That's it. And listen, I love me some Cheetos, and they're the worst thing you could. You ever read the bag? They've got substances.
I don't even want to go there.
But I love them. They're made in a laboratory. They're not even food. But I love that fake cheese. I love that crunch. You eat enough of them, you get that big edible fake cheese glove. Ha! But I know that if I choose Cheetos over, say, some fruit salad, in the short term, the Cheetos are going to make me feel good, but in the long term, I'm going to feel really lousy.
Right.
I don't know what it is, how you can eat a 1 pound bag of Cheetos and gain 3 pounds. That just defies physics.
Yes, they just blow up. I know it. And it's a really good point that you make too. Like, ask yourself, am I going to feel guilty about this decision in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? Is this a decision that I will regret? And make that just be when we can have some control. Here's what we control: us, our decisions. That's it.
I know. And I get it. My younger sister, I'll be stressing over something, ridiculous, because even when my life's going really well, I seem to find things. I'll just find things. And she'll say, oh, are we stressing? This stress management specialist? Nothing like siblings to keep you, in line.
There you go.
But it's true. These principles are, they're so simple, but so hard to put into practice.
You're right. And
it's one habit, one moment, one day at a time. It really is.
That's so good. And I know that we're speaking to also business owners, whether they have their companies. Now they're responsible for a team, or we feel like we're responsible. We feel like we're running an adult daycare, basically. But, it's like the stress just kind of expands and multiplies. And so how do we handle stress as business owners that we feel like that is just duplicated? And we're almost analysis of paralysis. Like, do we make a decision and we know that we've got to, we can't stay still because company moves, we have clients that we need to take care of. But do you have any best practices for business owners?
Well, I think the same principles apply. You have to break it down into chunks. Look and see, do a little time management study and see where your time is going. And are you putting out fires? One thing we need to do with stress is get out in front of it. Instead of letting it drag us around, try to get out in front of it and be proactive. So, and sometimes we take on other people's stresses too, because
we're a rescuer, right?
Yes. You can't help. It's probably, it's in your nature. You want to nurture and take care of people and rescue. But it's also, we tend to want to do that with our children. But there's a saying like on the airplanes where they say, put the mask on yourself first before you put it on other people. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. So the more stressed you are, the less available you are and the less you can help your people. So it still comes back to self-care. Take care of yourself first. The healthier you are, the better you can take care of the situations in your lives. Because just think of a little like sleep. You're on 2 hours of sleep. How effective are you that day?
And you're the example to them.
Yes, that's right. And you have a big high carb lunch and 2 hours later you want to take a nap. And then you reach for the sugar and the caffeine. And then that night you can't get to sleep because now you're high. And then the cycle continues. Believe me, it's little things. And it sounds like, really, Kay, that's it? Yes, that's pretty much it. The healthier and more centered you are, the better you're going to be able to handle. And you'll be an example. They may be feeding off of your worries and stress as well. So again, you set an example. You be a calming force. You may bring them down as well. And make it a priority. Have morning meetings. Have a huddle. Get together and say, tell me something good.
We do that every morning at 8:30, and it's amazing. It sets the temperature of the day, and it really allows us to, join over a core value, give some good news, pray up together, like whatever that looks like before we all go our own ways. And I'm telling you, it is pivotal. And we've done it probably now going on 7 years.
Wow. That's amazing. And I mean, and really, we should all set our intention for the day. I was working somewhere, and it was one of those lousy weather days, cold, chilly, and we tend to let the weather dictate our moods too.
Sure.
If you live in some areas of the country and you let the weather dictate your mood, you're going to be in a bad mood most of the time.
You're meditating a lot.
You really are. So I was at this conference, and everybody that walked in was commiserating because there's nothing wrong with venting either. We have to keep it real. We have to be honest with us. That's okay. Recognize. You're like, you know what? I don't know why. I'm just angry. Give me some Cheetos.
Some pillows.
Yeah, give me some pillows somewhere, somebody. So, but everybody, so commiseration is a good thing. Also venting, because we start to feel like we're part of a tribe. We share this, and I have a sister that cannot stop talking about COVID. I have another sister that never wants it mentioned in a sentence. I mean, it's just people handle things, she's talking it to death. I said, you're driving me crazy. Well, it helps her for some reason. The other sister's like, la, 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 can't talk about COVID anymore. So, but commiseration, as long as both parties are involved, in other words, if someone vents to death to somebody else that doesn't want to hear it all the time, then it's not healthy for that person.
Sure.
So there's the fine line with healthy venting. But I was working this conference, one of these awful lousy days, and everybody that walked in was shaking off their coats and umbrellas and said, oh, isn't it a lousy day? It's awful. Why do we live here? I don't know. Well, this one guy comes bounding in. He's like, good morning. And I was like, hello. He said, beautiful day. And I mean, the heads whipped around. They're like, what is this guy smoking? I had to call him out. I said, hold on a minute. What do you mean beautiful? It's a nasty day. He said, oh, no. The weather is nasty, but the day is beautiful. I mean, it's like, I said,
thank you.
Talk to me more. He goes, listen, hear me out. He said, if you get up in the morning, and if you're like me, I check my phone to see what the weather, have you ever been right by the window? I wonder what the weather's doing. I'm like, hey, look out the window. But he said, you get up. He said, before I even check the weather, before I even get out of the bed, before I even open my eyes, I decide it's going to be a beautiful day. I said, how's that work for you? He said, sometimes not so good. He said, but if you get up in the morning and decide, this is going to be a lousy day. He said, you will create that by putting forth the intention of having a lousy day. At the end of the day, you say, I knew it from the minute I got up, that it was going to be a lousy day. Well, you may have created that through putting forth that intention.
So it's a decision.
Yes, our mindset is a decision and it's a choice. And again, we have to keep it real. Sometimes if we're skimming the surface too much, like, no, I feel great. Everything's wonderful. I'm an optimist. Well, you may not be honest with yourself. But the key is to get honest with yourself, get those negative feelings out, then move on. We can't let them just churn around.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you have given us such value principles, life principles that we can take in. It applies in so many ways. And I love that you are encouraging. You have made a life decision to help invest in other people and really impact their life and the people that they are doing life with. So kudos to you, Miss Kay, and tell people how they can reach out to you if they want to connect after this.
Yes, well, you can come to my website. It's www.kfrancis, and I think my name's down there, spelled with an E, franciswithan.com, or you can follow me on Facebook. I'm on all the others, but I don't tend to check in as much, the Twitter and the InstaFace and, I don't know, all these TikTok and, so I'm pretty much on Facebook. But yeah, drop me a note, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop me an email. That would be k@kfrancis.com.
Oh,
and
that's wonderful.
I have to tell you, I am fans of what you guys do.
Ah.
I have Zillow on my phone locally. I don't want to move. I have no intentions. But every day I check to see and I go through and I'm like judging McJudgy pants. I'm like, that doesn't work. That kitchen needs to be over there. What were they thinking there? I mean, I'm just absolutely.
Maybe this is a new calling for you.
It is. There's a guy from Las Vegas. And by the way, I don't know how much online presence some of your folks have, but there's a guy in Las Vegas. His name's Chuckets, but he's the Las Vegas something or other. He has a very popular channel and he takes people through homes and they've all been staged. And I mean, I just drool. I watch one of his videos almost every day.
Wow.
I buy a house in Las Vegas, but probably some people are.
Yeah.
Cool to see. Did they chop the pillows? Did they not chop the pillows? So yeah, it's cool what you guys do. I'm a fan, huge fan.
Well, we appreciate it, and I know that there are many companies that we've gone through the challenge. For many of us, we're still kind of going through. But you're right; it is a choice every day to move forward, to take the next right step and de-stress. Find out our outlets so that we can be those leaders that our teams are needing.
Absolutely. And every day ask yourself, how can I be of service?
Yeah, that's great.
That someone told that to me. I was like, because I can get very me, all about me, trust me. And I'm like, how can I serve today? Well, how can I be of service? And and blessings will come to you when you have a servant's heart. We know this.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Kay. We look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we can reconnect with an event or something here in the near future. We would love it.
Thank you for having me. You're a delight, and I wish you nothing but the best of success.
Well, you as well. Thank you.